Page 22 addresses, which is the next topic, the role of the minister vis-a-vis the role of the National Commissioner. In discharging my ministerial responsibilities as police minister, I have at all times understood the constitutional and strategic framework governing policing, including my authority to determine national policy and to issue directives to the National Commissioner within the framework. And in this regard, I've also made my own personal efforts to intensify my understanding of the environment as appointed to police department. And I want to point out right at the beginning that we dispel the notion that the Minister of Police has no operational, although I put it inside italics, has no operational role whatsoever insofar as police are concerned. It will be remembered, it is solely for that reason that I make that statement. That powers, and there was no civilian and ministerial control over the functions, which resulted in grave abuses of human rights. Our Constitution departs from that particular history and places the police firmly under the public control. And the police reside under a political head for a good reason. That was one of the significant changes from the old era, the apartheid era, to the new era of democracy. And it was meant to, among other things, mitigate against what we had experienced as a nation throughout the apartheid era. Section 206 of the Constitution addresses the political responsibilities for the police service. Subsection 1 therefore states that a member of cabinet must be responsible for policing and must determine national policing policy after consulting the provinces or provincial governments and taking into account the policing needs and priorities of the provinces and determined by the provincial executives. And then Section 207 deals with the control of the police service, with subsection 1 and subsection 2 providing as follows. The President, as head of the National Executive, must appoint a woman or a man as the National Commissioner of Police Service to control and manage police service. The National Commissioner must exercise control over and manage police service in accordance with the national policing policy and the directions of the cabinet member responsible for policing. So those two sections are very clear in my understanding, and I worked on the basis of what I understood them to mean. Then there's Section 207, which establishes a civilian secretariat and provides for a civilian secretariat for the police service, which must be established by national legislation to function under the direction of cabinet member responsible for policing. So according to the Constitution, Minister has three distinct powers. Firstly, it is to determine national policing policy. The second one, it is the power to direct the National Commissioner when exercising his or her powers in terms of Section 207 of managing and controlling the police service. And then thirdly, the power to direct the civilian secretariat for police, which secretariat must be established by national legislation. The Constitution does not prescribe the content of the national policing policy, and this is left to the minister to determine the content. The policy must, however, take into account the policing needs and priorities of the province. And clearly the Constitution contemplates the all-encompassing policy that sets the framework for the operations of the police. Now, I just want to indicate that we developed the policing policy in the course of last year, completed it, signed it off, so it is in place. There are other sections that are relevant and are important, and I propose that I don't necessarily go through them one by one. Section 2 and 3 of SAPS Act, and then the Constitution and the SAPS Act, which indeed envisage that the policy and directions of the minister will be enforceable by, in the main, the Secretariat. And also, in paragraph 67, I make reference to the nature of the directions that the minister may issue to the National Commissioner. Now, which I'm saying are not necessarily specified in terms of the content. And of course, other issues that arise in the exercise of power by the minister. Now, I want to proceed to paragraph 68. Yes. Therefore, the National Commissioner's operational powers must be exercised in accordance with the directions and policy issued by the minister. This is not surprising, a surprising feature of the Constitution. And at the heart of Chapter 11 of the Constitution is the need to place the police service under the public control by imposing political oversight, as it has happened over time during the advent of our democracy. This is apparent from various provisions dealing with the police and providing extensive powers to the minister responsible for policing, like Section 206, 1, Section 206(3)(e), 206(8), 207(2), and 207(3), and 208, all those subsections. The National Commissioner has the powers contained in 11(2)(d), and this is an important paragraph in my statement. He has sections, he has powers contained in section 11(2)(d) of the SAPS Act to organize and reorganize the service into various components or units or even groups. But that power contained in 11(2)(d) is not relevant to the issue of the National Political Killings Task Team, because this team was not established by the Commissioner in terms of those powers at 11(2)(d). I have indicated above that this was solely established through the intervention of the President and then who established then the Interministerial Committee chaired by the Police Minister, and then who then decided that there should be a structure or a mechanism called a Political Killings Task Team. Now, in the light of this framework, my oversight of high-level structural and governance issues, including a 2019 work study, proliferation of unmonitored task teams, budget effects of temporal structures, and the proper location of specialized functions within SAPS fell squarely within my constitutional responsibility. My directive of 31st December 2024 must be assessed with this constitutional and statutory framework. The allegation of overreach is rejected. Now, paragraph 71, during the latter half of 2024, so before I go to that, not only did I believe that as I wrote that directive, I was within the constitution and the legislative framework, but I did consult Special Advisor Advocate Vusi Pikoli, who then indicated comfort in terms of the exercise of that responsibility based on what is indicated by the Constitution and by the legislative framework.
Sorry, can I just clarify this? The consultation with Advocate Piccoli, was it on the day or prior to the decision?
It was on the day, but on the day, it was merely a culmination of what we had been discussing over time, where we were discussing the actual role of the minister in terms of the powers provided by the Constitution, something that we were doing on a regular basis in our meetings. And I did hold a number of meetings with Advocate Pikoli, not only on this subject, but on other relevant matters, especially taking advantage that I have a special advisor who happens to be an advocate, which was a coincidence that doesn't necessarily obtain with all other special advisors.